Tonight at midnight, America puts an end to 3 decades of deficits and launches a new era of balanced budgets and surpluses. While the numbers will not be official until the end of the month, we expect the 1998 surplus to be about $70 billion.
Hey, welcome back to Nights and Weekends with me, Marcus, your host. As you can see, those days of having a budget surplus are 28 years in the rear view. It's almost probably by the time everything is done, it's probably gonna be close to ever, because I don't think we're ever going to run another budget surplus ever again as a country, unless you have a full-blown currency crisis, which is what Doge is trying to avert. So, Ed and Marcus, throw in the clip of Joy Reid, which, in all honesty, can just be a placeholder for NPR, ABC, NBC, CBS, LA Times, New York Times, Washington Post, any other place, in MSNBC, any other place where you get your news from. Throw that clip in.
But we begin tonight with the bait and switch. Even as grocery prices are soaring, despite Trump's promises to lower them starting on day one of his second presidency. There is heightened fear and anxiety across the country as Elon Musk, the world's richest unelected South African oligarch, who, despite his own questionable immigration story, has used his twisted version of Twitter to weaponize anti-immigrant hysteria, anti-Semitism, and even race science, and bought his way into the Oval Office, where he quite literally stands over the elected president of the United States.
Okay, Ed and Marcus here. See, the thing that's nice is that since this isn't live, I can go back and just redo it. But Joy is saying that Elon is unelected. The bureaucrats are unelected, Joy. What the hell are you talking about? 2, you are talking about Elon standing over Trump. We at least know that Trump is in charge. For 4 years, the administration ran the place. Okay. And the media finally came out and said the truth after Biden dropped out, saying, oh yeah, that this guy was gone. He was mentally gone. 2. Okay. You were going to vote, and you did vote for Kamala. Kamala wasn't elected by the Democrats. She was installed. So piss off, Joy, and the other folks at NPR, ABC, NBC, CBS, et cetera, et cetera. Back to the video.
And he's now taking a buzzsaw to American democracy and gutting services that millions of Americans rely on, burning our government to the ground and salting the ashes.
We do need to delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like if leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them.
So according to her, and according to all those other sources too, because I was listening to NPR as I was going about my day at work, and these people are acting as if the asteroid is coming to wipe us all out. Okay. We have to cut back, or else we are going to have a full-blown currency crisis within the age of the boomers who are still living. Okay. And this is going to be at y'all feet. Okay. But that's that. Let's click over to, there we go. Ed and Marcus had to take some stuff out. So this is right here. This is from the Treasury of the United States. Our current national debt as of this morning to the penny is $36,219,764,087,577. And that includes interest. But this is something for, I don't know, for a certain segment of people out there to think about. Way back here, way back when folks were more racist and everything else. But boy, they were definitely more fiscally responsible. And I don't know, they may have been xenophobic and they may have been racist. Even if you were born back then, you would have been the same thing. But they were much more fiscally responsible. So as we can see here, our national debt has just been going up and up and up and up and up. And let us just take it since 2009. Okay, that's right when Barack Obama was coming on into office. $17.4 trillion in inflation adjusted dollars. It was less than that then. But let's go to when Barack Obama left office, which was 2017. It went up to 25.8. So it almost went up by 50%, just about. And then Trump. Now, again, let me make sure I put this in there for context. We had COVID, and for the people in my life and not in my life, if you were for the shutdowns, I don't want to hear a damn thing out of your mouth about, oh, well, I mean, the debt went up. If you were for the shutdowns and mailing out checks to people, you're part of the problem. But anyway, as we can see today, it sits at this amount. Okay. And more importantly, if we look at debt to GDP, it bottomed out back in 1980 at about a third of a GDP. Thank you, Ronald Reagan, who tripled the national debt in dollars, but it only went up by maybe 60% to GDP in that time. But let us just go to this now. Let me ask you something. We were at 82% when Barack Obama came in office, and we also did have the great financial crisis, which I even said to people then, I'd have let all those businesses fail. Let them fail. Let the chips fall where they may, and we would probably have a more prosperous society. Who knows? Because we would have liquidated all of the debt. But anyway, as we can see here, from 2009, it went to 82%, all the way to 2020 to 126%. I have a question. Are we fighting Nazis? Are we fighting a world war anywhere? Are we doing any of that? I don't think so. I don't think that we're doing that. This is just sheer nobody wants to cut anything. So, Ed and Marcus, throw in the reason clip as to why the federal deficit is important.
The federal government is trillions of dollars in debt. Here's why that's actually a huge problem. The national debt is so big that we spend more on interest than on Medicaid or defense. Even if interest rates stay at 4% for the next few decades, annual interest payments are projected to surpass what we spend on Medicare and Social Security. It's like having a ballooning credit card bill that gradually swallows up your entire salary. Interest rates are like a time bomb. If they rise to 5, 6, or 7%, the cost of borrowing will increase so much that federal debt would be on track to surpass 300% of GDP, or 3 times higher than World War II levels. Eventually, interest costs would consume nearly all of annual U.S. tax revenues.
So we have that there. And as we can see, sorry, it's kind of dusty down here in the nights and weekends studio basement. As we can see there, this is like a credit card payment that's going to keep on going up. And again, this means that you who thinks that you're going to get Social Security, you're not going to get it unless these programs are cut. Okay? So let us go to this. And for the fiscal year 2024, and this is according to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, which I think is a joke because you can't hold these freaking people accountable. They do whatever. But anyway, the interest on the debt for fiscal year 24 was $1.1 trillion. Let me put that into some type of perspective. That is enough money to build, let's say 350 top of the line stadiums across the United States. And I mean like stadiums for like, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots, the sorry Cleveland Browns, etc. That's a lot of money. Okay. And again, if you don't cut now, you're going to have a crisis later. So let us look at Doge cutting so far. Now, I just want to give a quick rundown of maybe 5 things on here. This is straight off the Department of Government Efficiency from X. Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcision. We were going to send them $10 million. That is money that could go to, I don't know, your kids' school, better infrastructure for roads. Let us go here. UC Berkeley Cambodian Youth Enterprise Development, $9.7 million. Consortium of election and political process strengthening, almost $500 million. Okay. Voter confidence in Liberia, 1.5 million. Social cohesion in Mali, 14 million. Now, 586 contracts canceled for almost $500 million. Misplaced HUD money recovered, 1.9 billion. Okay? Don't let these people try to make it seem as if they are cutting all these very vital things. No, they are not vital. Okay? So this is what they posted. This is off of X. 40 million for gender equality and women's empowerment hub. This is just, I wouldn't call it fraud. This is like, I can't even think of the word. It is essentially like make work programs for bubble-headed liberal middle management white women. And it's got nothing to do with them being white or with them being women. It just has to do with the fact that their jobs produce little to no economic value. Now, Trump did something a little bit earlier this past week. Marcus, throw in the clip of the probationary workers being laid off or fired.
Here at home, the Trump administration sending shockwaves through the federal workforce. Thousands of workers who handle everything from managing federal lands to caring for military veterans have been fired. At least 2,000 workers were let go from the Department of Energy, more than 1,000 from Veteran Affairs, and another 1,000 from the Centers for Disease Control. And the agency in charge of our nuclear stockpile had roughly 300 employees fired yesterday, only to be told just a short time later they weren't all being fired after all. Now, ABC has learned that roughly 15,000 IRS employees have been identified for possible termination as early as next week.
So as we can see there, we apparently it's going to be upwards of maybe 200,000 probationary employees who are going to be let go. Now, I wanted to just read this for you really quick from CBS News. The Trump administration on Thursday intensified its sweeping efforts to shrink the size of the federal workforce, the nation's largest employer, by ordering agencies to lay off nearly all probationary employees who hadn't gained civil service protection, potentially affecting hundreds of thousands of workers. Okay, let me just say this again. Either we lay them off or you don't get your Social Security, or the VA person doesn't have the money to take care of their mental issues, or these are other more important cuts that are going to happen because the money is being spent on employees who don't do anything. Okay. And we're going to go here. Now, I didn't even record this because I just know how the liberal media is, and it's so annoying. But this is from CBS News. Good morning. They did this whole feel good segment on a government worker's message for Elon Musk. Now, this is what I wanted to put on here. At times, questioning the contribution of some federal employees. Let me stop you there. That's true. You actually should question them. Some of these folks do absolutely nothing, and they are paid for it. Back to it. They are also enticing more than 2 million government employees to quit. That's just false. That's false. They aren't going to get rid of 66% of government employees. That just isn't going to happen. They are not enticing 66% of these people to quit. And have moved to shutter entire agencies. That's good. Good. Please let us get rid of the Department of Education, the Department of the Interior. We can get rid of a whole bunch of them. Again, they are redundant. But how would the public lose out if government workers lose their job? They end up talking with this dude, and again, it's a whole good feel good thing about how we have these government employees that are doing just so much good work, and their work is vital, and we need to absolutely positively make sure that they are able to do their jobs. Man, I'm sorry. I'm kind of happy my aunt don't wash my bills. Get the fuck out of here, man. Again, I would probably say 38 to 50% of government employees you could get rid of. And before any disingenuous asshole hops in there and says, well, what about the military? I'm not talking about the military, even though we can probably get some cuts in that also. I'm talking about the non-military civilian government employees. Prime example. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on me here really quick. Prime example. The United States Postal Service, they have a truck, the good old mail truck that you and I see all the time. You know that thing gets single digit miles per gallon? Single digit. Whose job needs to be taken to where we can get more efficient vehicles for the United States Postal Service? But apparently, I guess we can throw it to some subcommittee that will throw it to another committee, and it'll take 10 years for these people to figure out what the hell is going on. No, it's way too much waste. Way too much waste. Back to this. Editor Marcus, throw in the clip of Javier Milei. Okay, so we have Javier Milei. He is the president down in Argentina. It's this guy. He looks a little crazy, but apparently, trust me, he isn't. Okay. So down in Argentina, because they have a terrible parasitic government, okay, and economy at that, but they had an inflation rate that was running at 25% a month when the man came into office. Now it's down to 2.7% in October, and I heard that it even got down to 0. Now, we are not Argentina yet, but we will become Argentina and become some second-rate power if we don't get our fiscal house in order. So we're going to zoom in on me here. Finish this right on out. I'm in my 40s. My parents are in their 60s. My grandparents have long since left us. if we don't get our fiscal house in order by having somebody like Elon Musk, who is going to who's going to cut as much stuff as he legally can, and also, at least when it comes to getting rid of departments, we're going to need an act of Congress. Good luck with that, because Congress is exactly like the end of Animal Farm. It's like animals and human beings in there making noises, and you can't tell which is which. They're almost all are greasing their palms on your back. Okay? But this is necessary. It's exactly like in your body, how you have something called autophagy. It is where your body cells will break down old, decrepit, or defective organelles that are inside of the cell, especially in lean times. Like when you're on a diet, boy, autophagy is definitely up. Okay? This is that time. The time for using a scalpel was at the beginning of this video with Bill Clinton, when we could have taken a scalpel to these things and had a more gradual descent into a sustainable fiscal arrangement for our federal government. We are past that now. This is the point where you just bring the person in with the scalpel who just takes everything off and says, "I'm sorry, it was gangrenous. We could have saved your foot if you came in here 2 months ago, but you didn't. I'm sorry, so we had to take you up to the calf." It was either that or you end up dying. Which one? Okay, so at the end of the day, I'm all for the stuff when it comes to Doge. Now, let me make sure that this is clear. Donald Trump, President Trump, might not be for all the cuts that are going to go on, because it's somewhat of a positive feedback loop. These people who no longer are employed in the public sector are now going to get private sector jobs. And if the private sector isn't hiring, which they are not, they aren't going to be paying taxes, and tax revenue is going to go it's going to go down probably a couple of $1 billion or whatever. But he's going to have to use a lot of his political capital to get the Congress to eliminate these departments. And Elon Musk can keep cutting contracts all day, which would be great. Okay, but that's it. We have gotten past the point of diet and exercise. This is now the point where you start cutting off limbs to actually save the person from dying an even earlier death. All right. See y'all in a week. Maybe. Who knows? All right. Bye.